Hey guys, welcome to my podcast. This is called Healed and Still Healing. This whole podcast was designed for fellow believers to be able to come on here and share their stories. I believe that when you've encountered the Lord, you have been healed, but you're still healing because there's this ongoing process of sanctification. And so this whole concept is based off of Revelation 12:11 that says, "And they triumphed over him by the blood of the Lamb and the power of their testimony." And so I'm really honored to be here today with my first guest. Some of y'all call him Pastor Greg. Some of y'all call him G. Some call him Papa. I call him Dad. So welcome, Greg Johnson.
Hey, I'm glad that you brought your security blanket here for your first episode.
Honestly, though, I don't think I could have done it with anybody else. So,
well, let's get this first episode out of the way.
I know I'm kind of nervous, even though I'm like talking to my dad.
Yeah, just remember all those days when I was talking you down off a ledge.
Is this that?
Yeah, this is what's happening right now.
Full circle moment. Here we go. Yeah. So, I wanted you to come on here today because, I mean, you just have this amazing testimony, and you're very transparent in the way that you talk about it, and I think that you're very vulnerable about it, and so I think that's very encouraging, number one, to me as your daughter, and it sets a good pace for me, but also you're the pastor of this church, and I feel like when people come in here, they feel that sense of transparency, and so they also want to live that way, and so like, what brought you to that? Like, what brought you to being fully transparent in your brokenness?
Well, first, let me say, I'm honored to be your first guest. Mm-hmm. I'll be praying that this will just completely blow up and that you'll make millions of dollars podcasting. How about that?
Hey, love that.
And I just want a percentage.
Is that your retirement?
Absolutely.
Plan?
You are my retirement plan. I thought it was going to be basketball, but I see the scar on your knee and recognize this is the new path. Let me address that. First of all, I think sometimes when we think about our testimony, especially when it's a hard one, I'm not proud of my testimony, and so I think sometimes if I'm not crying in the middle of it, I check myself and I'm like, am I just callous to this?
Yeah.
But no, because I've been healed.
Yeah.
And because, it's 15 years from ground zero, God has healed me. And to the point of this podcast, I'm still healing. Mm-hmm. And so every time I share my testimony, I feel like that God is healing me a little bit more. And so how I got here and how it's ended up being a part of the fabric of restoration. I just discovered this probably a month ago. I realized that when we first started, I had been fired by Woods Edge in December 2010, and I needed to be fired, by the way. There's no question about that. But Jesus changed me pretty radically, saved my marriage, and then gave me really 3 years of walking with him in a new way, growing exponentially, leaps and bounds. Like I was so far from the person that I used to be. And so, Jeff Wells, pastor of Woods Edge, who fired me, and then continued to meet with me once a month, pretty much without fail. Was very dedicated to that, which I didn't really fully understand.
Yeah.
Part of me thought he felt guilty. Maybe there was something to that. But as we were meeting, he was affirming change in me. And at some point, I felt called to plant a church. Thought it was in New York. Longer story. That'll be another podcast for another day.
Yeah.
But when we did plant, we're planting 35 minutes from Woods Edge. So still in the area. Mm-hmm. I knew that I had a credibility issue. And so, I was mentioning Woods Edge's name early and often. Mm-hmm. I had Jeff come to our first interest meeting. And I said, hey, I need you to put your hand on me and say, this is my guy.
Right.
But then when we started meeting, I just felt the sense of urgency to just go ahead and address the elephant in the room.
Okay.
And so I was really sharing my story to get out in front of it because I knew that it was probably something that people wanted to know about, but may be afraid to ask. And so I wish that it were, hey, man, transparency is the way to go. Because I would say that today, right?
Right.
That, hey, we just need to be transparent at all times. But really, for me, it was really, I'm not going to say it was self-protective, but it was just kind of, hey, I'm going to get out in front of this. Well, what happened, the unintended consequence of that was that people would be blown away by it. Like, I can't believe that you would share something that intensely personal.
Right.
You know, that nobody shares that. And who rehires the guy that they fired? You know, I mean, there was so much about the story that was compelling. Well, over time, I started realizing I don't just have to share about that struggle. I can share about other struggles.
Yeah.
Because people were responding to real. And you know me well enough to know that, you know, I'm not a guy that tends to live in self-importance. I don't really, you know, I love to be on stage.
Yeah.
You know, like I've been kind of in the entertainment-ish area of ministry, you know.
Since show choir, you
Oh,
know?
yeah. Hey. How
We're taking it
vulnerable?
back.
Yeah.
We're taking it back.
I don't know that we're ready to be that vulnerable. But you know, like in the flesh, there's not a stage big enough.
Yeah.
Right. I love to be on stage, but you know, like where I am today, I want to kick the pedestal out from under myself at every turn. Like, there's no value in me being the Bible answer man or being the ministry professional that has it all together.
Yeah.
I think that is a church model that produced, it produced my brokenness.
Yeah.
You know, the whole never let them see you sweat.
Right. Because you always feel like you have to be hiding what it is that you're secretly going through.
Right.
Because if people only found out, you know, what
You
would
see,
they think?
you seen that meme? Hide your kids. Mine was hide your sin. You know,
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
hey, I say that a lot. That the church I grew up in, man, I owe my salvation to them. I owe a lot of the scripture that I memorized. Discipleship was a priority, but I also learned how to hide my sin. You know, and some of that was in my family. You know, we were the perfect family,
Right.
and everybody knew. My sister probably was perfect, but they knew that I wasn't. I mean, I wasn't a partier, but I was super mischievous.
Yeah.
You know, I probably learned how to manipulate at an early age. So, you know, so coming into this now, I do believe that it's our number one value,
Yeah.
transparency. Hey, I tell our teaching team, you know, until you find in the passage that you're teaching where you failed to live up to it and you're ready to share it, you're not ready to teach the passage.
Yeah.
And that's not normal because it means that you're going to fall on the sword every week.
Every week.
So we're looking to bring the stage to the floor. We're the same. You and I are the same. You got your struggles. I've got mine.
Yeah.
But let me share mine with you
Yeah.
in an effort to give you permission to share yours.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we've seen that. And then through Regen, Reengage, these, you know, the recovery ministry and marriage ministry, that the value of the curriculum is to bring out transparency.
Yeah.
You know, that you've been through Reengage.
Twice.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you're sitting in a group with people and you got to share your stuff.
You really can't. You can't hide from it. You know.
Right. The only thing you can do is not come.
Right.
Because if you come, you're going to be expected to be vulnerable. And so what it's done, I mean, I've said this in some other settings, but, you know, preaching it in that way from the stage is aspirational, meaning people will clap for me.
Yeah.
Man, can't believe you said that. Way to go, man. I'm going to invite somebody next week
Yeah.
to hear you be vulnerable.
Yeah.
But not really willing to be vulnerable themselves. But transformation takes place face to face, not facing forward, but when I now am having to share my life with you. And Regen and Reengage is actually forcing, you know, people to look in another person's eyes and share their deepest, darkest stuff and their sin struggle. And so as a result, what's happened is it's taken an aspirational value, and now, people have graduated from Regen or commenced, have finished re-engage, and now they're sitting in the body,
Yeah.
and they're advocates now for transparency. So the person you're sitting next to on a Sunday is very likely they've got a story and they're ready to share it.
Right.
And so you've been here. You know that I say all the time, hey, if you're not willing to live in outside of your secrets, if you're not willing to share your stuff and live openly, you're probably not going to want to be here.
You're not going to make it.
Yeah, because I mean we're turning up the heat every week, and not for any other reason, but in the name of freedom.
Yeah.
Because the life you're living is a lie anyway.
Yeah.
So that, I don't know if that answers the question, but I
Yeah.
mean, it's kind of how we've gotten to where we are.
Yeah.
And yes, it started with, you know, yeah, I think the worst moment of my life.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so let's go back to that worst moment of your life. You had this crazy encounter with the Lord where you literally felt electricity running through your body. Talk about that. Like, that's something that you read in the Bible, the burning bush and all of that. Like, that's such a powerful moment, but it was such a catalyst of change for you and such a crazy encounter with the Lord that you've never experienced before. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So it's really hard for me to reconcile. I trusted Christ at 12.
Yeah.
J&K Ranch, sixth grader going into seventh grade, Thursday night, cry night, prayed to receive Christ.
Yeah.
Have followed Jesus ever since. Knew in high school that I wanted to be in ministry. I wanted to be a Christian rock star. So that's kind of ministry.
Naturally.
Kind of self-serving ministry. But so my entire career was oriented toward ministry. So it's hard for me to reconcile. Okay, when I was in the middle of this, really, I would say probably from 2004 or 5 through 2010 was probably when I was at my worst. Where if I was talking, I was probably lying in some way, exaggerating or manipulating, always trying to move things into my favor. And then there was this relationship that lasted about a year. But all of those, I think in the church, we call those the problem, when actually they're symptoms of the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, all that was just a symptom that I had a dark heart. I was jacked up.
Yeah. There was a deeper root to that.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's hard for me to reconcile when I read Matthew 7, where Jesus, you say, hey, man, for me, it's, hey, Lord, remember, I led worship for the masses. I led these people to the Lord. And the thought of looking at my life during that time that looked nothing like Jesus.
Right. You were doing a lot of things in his name, though.
Right. Would he have said, I don't know who you are?
Yeah.
In fact, I never knew you.
Wow.
That's a hard reality. So I don't know how to reconcile that because I'm a big eternal security guy, meaning once saved, always saved. I can never be plucked out of his hand.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say I wasn't a Christian because my theology won't allow me to say that.
Yeah.
But I do know, man, I was pretty jacked up.
Yeah.
So in 2010, when all this goes down, I went through, 2 days of sleeping on the couch and listening to Mom. I'll call her Mom.
Yeah, thanks. That's my mom.
Yeah, in the other room, weeping
Wow.
all night. I can't sleep. Yeah, don't look at me right now.
Sorry. Sorry.
And I'm just realizing that I'm probably going to be a part-time dad. That I've lost the love of my life.
Yeah.
And it was all for something that was just never going anywhere. It was just careless.
Yeah.
And it was a need for validation that I felt like I wasn't getting at home. Right. So all of that to say, I'm feeling just lost. And reading a book by John Eldredge, Walking with God. I'm reading this chapter on agreements. And it's agreements that we make with the enemy, which I thought was kind of like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I've never prayed to Satan.
Right.
I don't understand what you're saying. But as I'm reading it, it's starting to make sense. And all of a sudden, the Lord just said, well, I'll tell you your agreement. Your agreement is it's not that big a deal. And then he just like took me into all of these moments. I've got all these snapshots of times that I had said that.
Yeah.
Whether it been, I'm speeding, and mom's busting my chops. And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Pfft, it's not that big a deal."
Mm.
Or something that I'm watching, something I'm listening to. My mouth, I had a horrible mouth. And I know that's hard to believe. But,
Yeah. Never heard that.
but all of a sudden, I just felt like, Greg, holiness is a huge deal to me.
Mm.
So the lie was, it's not that big a deal. God's saying, no, it's everything.
Yeah.
So I began weeping, and like it's like sewage is coming out. Like I'm confessing all of these things out loud. I'm weeping, and I hadn't been able to eat because my confession had started with mom and Jeff 2 days before that, but I had known that this was coming for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So I mean, I was just in a bad place,
Yeah.
and so I'm crying. I'm confessing all these things. All of a sudden, I just have this jolt of lightning come through me. I mean, electricity. And the knot was gone. And I just knew in that moment, I'm free. I started laughing uncontrollably.
A little manic.
Oh, yeah.
Little
I mean,
manic episode.
I'm like, I've lost it
Yeah.
completely. But the first thing I did was I got up, I got in my car, and I drove to pick you up from a basketball tournament. You were having lunch somewhere on 45, and I was driving, and I'm praying and laughing, just kind of like, I don't know what's going on. I've lost everything, but we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that Jesus said to me, he said two things immediately. Number one, you will never speak like that again. He took my tongue, and I'm like, done.
Yeah.
And that's not been a desire since. But he also said, hey, whatever happens from this point forward, it's just you and me. It's just you and me. And it really allowed me to take my focus off of marriage, take my focus off of perception, what people are going to think. Because I knew this is about to get really public.
Yeah.
It's going to be really ugly, which, from a credibility standpoint, it was all of that. You stood with me the next week in church where I'm standing making a public statement to 3,000 people, and which I chose to do. That was not, they were just going to announce it to the body, and I asked them to let me share. I said, this is my family.
Yeah.
We can craft a statement together, but I feel like I owe it to the congregation. And I mean, that sucked. I mean, can I say that on this podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was brutal. But so after I pick you up from your basketball thing, I came home and asked mom to talk to her, and she was very reluctant to even. She didn't want to have a discussion with me at all.
Right.
She didn't want to talk to me, didn't want to look at me, and asked her for 5 minutes. I sat her down in that little tiny chair that you have at your house now.
The little red one?
Yeah, and I got down on my knees and I just said, hey, listen, I don't expect you to believe this, but something crazy just happened to me. I shared my experience, and I said, and there's some things I need to confess to you. And her exact words were, I don't need any more of your confessions. I said, hey, it's not about that.
Yeah.
It's about a whole lot of other things.
Yeah.
And so I started sharing with her all these lies that I had told her, and she's just looking at me like, why are you telling me all this?
Yeah.
And then she said that, why are you telling me all this? And I said, because for the rest of my life, I'm going to live in truth. And I know we're going to get divorced. I know that we're not going to make it. And I deserve that. I've earned that. I just hope one day you see the godly man that you deserve. And what I didn't know was that God was already working on her as she was on her knees weeping in her closet. And I'll let you have her on one day. She can tell her story. But
I'm sure she'd love that.
yeah. Put her on a camera. Never.
Not going to happen.
Yeah. So, but within 24 hours, really within 12 to 14 hours, she let me sleep in bed that night.
Well, this is what I remember is coming down for church on Sunday morning. I'm dressed and ready to go, which is like unheard of. I only went to church to get a free lunch, and I come down and you're still in bed with mom. And I'm like, wait, why are you here? And, y'all were just saying, hey, we're just taking some time. And I remember mom reached over and grabbed your hand. She said, but we're going to be okay. And I remember you told me later it was in that moment that you knew y'all were going to be okay.
Well, I woke up and her arms were around me, and I didn't want to move because I felt like maybe she doesn't know, and I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then she whispered in my ear, "I forgive you, and we're gonna work through this."
Wow.
And so, of course, I was a mess.
Yeah.
And it was pretty shortly after that that y'all came down one by one.
Yeah.
Why are we not going to church?
Right.
We need to hang out here today.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so that's ground zero. And so it's really, you look at where we are today and that point in my life, clearly a lot's happened.
So much.
Yeah, and that's where the still healing comes in. That, every day I make a choice. Every day, so I think it's why Paul talks about working out your salvation with fear and trembling.
Yeah.
I think sometimes that's hard to wait. Salvation is not of works, it's by grace. He wrote that in Ephesians 2:8. So what is he talking about, working out your salvation?
Right.
Well, I think what he's saying is I'm saved and being saved. I'm healed and healing. That I've still got stuff. Until the day I meet Jesus, I am going to be in process.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about salvation is, yes, he changed my heart, but also it's his blood that covered my sin.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I no longer sin. It just means that it's forgiven.
Right.
And the more I become like him, the less I want to sin.
Yeah.
I told somebody sometime in the last 24 hours that Jesus curbs my appetite for sin. That when I'm not in intimacy, one of the primary symptoms is I have either, wrong thoughts,
Yeah.
or I find myself, I'm naturally pretty impatient. I'm naturally very sarcastic. And when I'm in intimacy with Jesus, I'm less sarcastic and I'm more patient. So when I feel myself on edge, I have to go back and go, okay, where am I right now?
Yeah.
Where am I with you, Lord?
Yeah.
And so there are symptoms. Again, it's all symptomatic. Like anytime you see somebody and you see something going on in their life, you can always go back to there's something going on in their heart.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel like I never wanted to be a pastor, and here I am. And I meet with a lot of people, and I've learned that, number one, people are dying to share their pain.
Yes.
They're dying to get it out. They're dying to share their secret.
Yeah.
They just don't have a safe place to do it.
Yeah.
And so when you create a safe space, especially when you go first, people are ready to share it. And then usually there's a shame component because people are ashamed of what they've done.
Right.
So to be able to walk them through, hey, listen, you are not the sum total of the things you've done. Your identity is not that. You've done wrong things, but it's like you've done bad things, but you're not a bad person.
Right.
We're not going to have time to get into all your stuff today.
Yeah.
But I can say this. You've got one of the most tender hearts of anybody that I know. But when you were in your most broken place, your tender heart was just seeking validation.
Yeah.
And so you were seeking validation in all the wrong places.
Yeah.
But your identity was still tender-hearted. That it was who you were. It was just the enemy was using it, and you were being taken advantage of in a lot of ways. But I mean, I just think about your friends. that I would probably have thousands of dollars today that I don't have because you gave my money away to your friends out of a sense of helping them
I'm
out.
just a giving person,
Yeah,
you know?
you are great at giving other
Other
people's money.
people's things.
Yeah. But I look at it, your heart was always for people. But when you know, Bill Hybels calls it the shadow mission. So the shadow mission of influence is manipulation. So for me, I know that God has given me an influential platform, right? Just
Right.
because there are a lot of people here,
Yeah.
and God's done that, but He's given me the gift of influence. The shadow mission of influence is manipulation.
Yeah.
And manipulation is when I'm always turning things in my favor.
Yeah.
And so I can look at my life now and, man, I pray through it all the time. Like if I'm doing anything that would promote me, God, please take it from me.
Yeah.
Because I know who I was.
Right.
And if I've got any fear in my life, it's the fear of in any way becoming who I used to be.
Yikes.
You know, like I say a lot, we're all one or two bad decisions from being in a dark place.
Yeah.
And so that keeps me like almost in an unhealthy way at times. Like, oh God, am I going to screw this up?
Yeah.
You know, because that's what the enemy says to me. Hey, if you stick around long enough, this will self-destruct
Right.
because you're in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And my therapist has told me that is really a sad way to think about life, you know, and has really talked me through, hey, that's not who you are. You know, you've got to celebrate who you are today and quit like living fearful that you could become something that you are no longer.
Yeah.
Jesus has changed me.
Hallelujah.
And while I'm still healing, you know, I'm a work in progress.
Yeah.
I still got a long way to go. Yeah. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Cool. I love it. Thanks for sharing it.
Yeah. So I think landing the plane today, I hope that, you know, when I think about what people would want to get from my story or from this episode, it's like, hey, bring yourself into the light.
Yeah.
Because the truth of the matter is you're not really living.
Yeah.
If you're living hiding, then you're living a lie, and that's not really living.
Yeah.
And you know what that feels like.
Absolutely.
You know, it's filled with anxiety, maybe wondering who you've told what.
Yeah.
Or the people you're closest to, you know that you're hurting them in some way, and you don't want to hurt them anymore. Or you convince yourself that it's better to live in secret because it would hurt them.
But it's also, you know, you're living closely with people and you're like, they know the real me. And when they see me out here pretending to be something I'm not, they know, you know?
Right. Which was mom in a nutshell. Like what led to a lot of our problems was, you know, we would get in an argument about whatever. And I would say, how come everybody in my life thinks I'm awesome except for you? And she was like, because they don't know you. I do. You're a fraud. You know, can you hear mom saying that?
Shout out, Mom, for keeping it real.
Oh, yeah. And that would incense me. But you know why it bothered me so much?
Because you knew it was true.
I knew it was true.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I had gotten to the point that mom notwithstanding, I mean, she was my wife. I lived with her. But anybody that I sensed kind of saw through me, I would just avoid. I had enough people that I was manipulating.
Yeah.
I knew that if I stayed in those circles, I'm safe.
Yeah.
So I just stayed in the place where I wouldn't have to deal with anything, really. And that was an awesome plan. That worked so well.
So good. Up
So
until
well.
it didn't.
So what people should get from this podcast is do that, because that just works out every time. No, I really do hope that people would see that there's life on the other side of your secret.
Yeah.
There's life on the other side of your confession. There's life on the other side of repentance.
Yeah.
But you got to be willing to go there. And again, it's going to suck. It's
Yeah.
going to be hard. There are natural consequences to your actions. And I can't promise that the man or woman who's having an affair today that's listening to this podcast, and it's like, I have too much to lose. I would say, maybe, but you're not really living anyway.
Right.
You're dying to get out of that thing. So bring it into the light and trust God with the results. Because when you're in a situation like that, you're only thinking about how you can get out of something.
Right.
And I felt like I was really good at talking my way out of anything, and if I put me in any situation, I'll talk my way out of it.
Yeah. You should have been a lawyer.
Yeah,
honestly.
I would have been a great attorney, maybe the Lincoln lawyer. But I do look at it today and realize, man, what a lie. What a lie, because it brought me to a place where I was in a situation that I could not talk my way out of it.
Right.
And now my way doesn't work.
Yeah.
And everybody, this, I keep alluding to your story because we need to tell your story.
Yeah.
Hey,
Just wait on it.
let me look. Where's the camera? Hey, she's got some stuff, and I can't wait to share it with you. I just think about, you can convince yourself very easily that just keeping it status quo is the best plan of action. But there's a ceiling to your plan.
Yeah.
Anytime that you're hiding, there's a ceiling. God didn't let that go on forever.
You're right.
Yeah. So, hey, thanks for having me on today.
Thanks for being here. I feel like we really started this off strong.
We'll see.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being here. Thanks for continuing to just be transparent in the way that you speak and share your story. I know that it's changed so many people's lives, and I pray that it continues to do that. So,
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Until next time.